Hey guys, this is Austin. Inside this box is either one of the best laptop deals that I've ever seen, or something that you should avoid at all costs. So you may remember a video I did last year on the Walmart gaming laptop. It was a decent laptop with some issues. However, there was a huge backlash and it got severely slashed in price. Now this time around, Walmart's like, oh no, that's fine. Everyone forgot about that. So they've created their own brand of gaming laptops called Motile. So if you take a look at the specs, there's a lot going for this, but what really makes it interesting is the price. So when this launched, it came out at $500. Not bad, but also not particularly great. However, recently, this is available for $300, which is a pretty excellent deal, except that a few days later when I purchased it, it was $400. So I don't know exactly how to review this thing. If it's a $200 laptop, it's amazing, it's great. $300, it's awesome. At $600 or $500 though, a little bit harder to say. But what I'm really curious about is what exactly have they done this time around? Because there's a lot of stuff which looks very cool on this. So you can see Motile is a trademark of Walmart Apollo, which I'm not sure exactly what Apollo is, but this is definitely a Walmart specific brand. What was the last one? Overpowered is what they called their gaming laptops. So I guess they've, OP, yeah, of course. So now they've moved on to Motile. So it's got a decent power brick. It does have a old school barrel plug, but whatever, that's not important. What I'm curious about is the laptop, which is immediately very thin. So they advertise this as a performance laptop. And with Ryzen inside, it is actually supposedly a pretty powerful laptop, given that they spec it outright. There are a lot of things you can do here which will negatively impact for performance. So it seems like it's got a decent selection of ports at least, USB-C, USB-A, HDMI. We've got another couple of USB ports as well as Ethernet. All right, that's cool. Oh, that's, in case you're curious, it comes with THX. You know what, it actually looks pretty unique though. I mean, I actually like the black surround. It also does have a Windows Hello IR camera. The keyboard, it looks nice. Let's see. Oh, that's not bad. It's a little bit like low travel, but something that's really jumping out to me is this feels incredibly lightweight. Supposedly this is also a backlit keyboard. So far, even at the $400 I spent on it, I'm actually really happy with this. There we go. All right, let's see what's inside our Walmart mystery laptop. Wow, that's metal. Oh. What? There's a few things that jump out to me. First of all is the fact that we do have an M2 drive, although actually, is that? That might be SATA. I'm not sure if that's SATA. No, that is SATA. Okay, so we have a 256 gig SATA drive. Fine. It is nice that we have a secondary M2 slot, but beyond that, there's some really questionable decisions. First of all, there's this huge gap here, which seems like it's meant for like something like an SSD or another hard drive, but it's empty. There's no port to actually plug it in, which is bizarre. The cooling seems to be maybe not the greatest, just a single heat pipe to what looks to be a fairly small fan. But the bigger problem is if I lift up this little flap, you'll see that there's only a single 8 gig DIMM here. I just realized something. So we have our 8 gigs of RAM right here, perfectly fine, no problem. But if you want to install more memory in dual channel, which as it's a Ryzen system, you should absolutely do, the SSD's in the way. So you actually can't run dual channel memory and dual SSDs. You have to pick one or the other. Like, I'm actually gonna double check this, but if I uninstall our standard SSD, these are like the world's cheapest screws, they're all stripping. Well, I would love to be able to pull that SSD out and show you, but I think the idea is that if you wanna upgrade this, you need to take advantage of an NVMe SSD on this side and put in extra RAM. I've never seen something like this. Like, it's such a dumb decision, because there's no way the extra channel of memory would fit there.
So, I found something on this laptop.
What do you mean you found something?
So, try to change the wallpaper on it.
Okay. Windows isn't activated. Are you serious right now? You're trying to tell me that Walmart is selling a laptop without a real copy of Windows on it? I refuse to believe that. No, that's not a real thing. Detecting activation problems. Wait, you might just be wrong, Ken. It might just activate. What's the problem, huh? What's the problem? We've activated. See, you got me all excited. You're like, oh, it's not real, and then it was one click. That being said, it is very strange that was not done out of the box. However, Windows is fine. We've also got 8 gigs of single channel 2400 megahertz memory, which, as I've already discussed, is pretty much the absolute bare minimum, and especially with Ryzen, not only does that make a difference to the graphics, obviously, you're almost halving your performance there, but it also slows down the CPU. Generally speaking, Ryzen definitely needs dual channel memory and the fastest stuff you can get. So if we were willing to kind of reorder that SSD, move it over, or get a NVMe drive, bumping this up to 16 gigs of fast memory would cause a huge bump to performance. I'll say having Windows Hello for facial recognition is a big plus. The keyboard I think is fine, especially considering that it's backlit. Let's try that THX action. We got our spatial audio demo. So they're saying that spatial audio is better, but I think the spatial audio is just purely like an app running. Yeah, it's just headphones. So there's this thing called bass. It exists and it makes things sound cool when they're actually not. I know they're very happy to put THX branding on this. I'm sure they're very happy to say that the display was tuned by THX. I don't think that matters whatsoever. I'm gonna move on with the rest of this wonderful laptop. So while I get a couple of things installing on the Motile, let me introduce you to the best competitor to this, the Acer Aspire 5. And this is something that we did a video on last year, and there's a lot going for it, and it's actually fairly similar in a lot of categories. So at about $330, you're getting Ryzen 3, 4 gigs of RAM, and a 128 gig SSD. And that might sound like a little bit less powerful. However, actually Walmart sells a version of the Motile with that almost exact same spec, and right now they're selling it for $349. So it's broadly sort of similar. And there are actually obviously a lot of advantages to going with the Acer, but all that being said, as many problems as I found with this Walmart laptop, there are definitely some things which are very much of redeeming quality. First of all, the screen. Yes, I know, the tuned by THX thing is kind of overrated. And no, it's not like the greatest screen I've ever seen. It's 14 inches, 1080p, it's a matte finish. It gets reasonably bright. Honestly, for this $300 to $400 price category, I have zero complaints. It's actually really nice. Now, if you were to spec the Acer to the same degree as the Walmart laptop, it actually becomes a pretty decent deal. So we're talking Ryzen 5, 8 gigs of RAM and a 256 gig SSD cost you $500 on the Acer side. Not unreasonable, considering this is significantly cheaper at the moment and has been a lot cheaper in the past. It actually starts to look pretty good. I mean, again, that screen is great, and a lot of the hardware actually feels to me, even though it's not incredibly well built, it almost reminds me slightly of the LG Gram in that it is a very lightweight laptop that's kind of surprising. I don't know what to say here, because I'm torn. On one hand, it's from a company which Walmart may or may not decide to dissolve in like 30 seconds. It also has some legitimately poor decisions, I would say, in its configuration. But if you were to say pick this laptop up from cheap, swap out the RAM and add an SSD, an M2 SSD as opposed to the one that's inside, move things around, you actually would have what I think is a pretty solid system. And especially considering that this thing will ping pong between $300 and $500, you get it toward that $300 side of the spectrum. I mean, it's actually a legitimately good deal.
And most importantly, no bloatware.
I personally much prefer the sort of fit and I prefer the fit and finish of the Walmart laptop. I will say one thing though, I nearly stripped 2 screws while trying to open this up and replace the SSD, which does not fill me with confidence on the fact that while you should upgrade it, you actually would be able to. So it's a little bit of a hard sell, but generally speaking, it's not bad. I thought it was gonna tear this thing apart. I thought it was gonna be terrible. This is actually a legitimately pretty decent laptop. Is the fan running at 100% as I install Fortnite right now? Fortnite right now? Yes, it is. Am I going to continue the video as if I didn't accidentally say the wrong thing? Yes, I am going to do that. This is not great. Okay, so this is why you want dual channel memory in your laptop. So even at 720p medium, we're struggling. We're hitting 30, but it's a very jittery 30. Look, man, there's a lot to like with this laptop. But if you buy it, you should not use it as it is right now. You should upgrade the RAM for sure. And realistically, you probably want an M2 SSD to fill up that second slot, because the way they've configured it, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. If you're not gaming, it's fine. But what Walmart has done with this is they're absolutely taking a standard white label laptop chassis, they're customizing a little bit, and they're selling it under their Motile brand. Now, do you trust that Walmart will continue to make this laptop and support it? Maybe. If you get it for a great price, I do think that this is a no-brainer. But the problem is whether or not you trust that this company is even going to be around and whether this laptop will continue to hold up. It's cool, it's interesting, it's different, and it could be a great price, or they might double the price tomorrow. So it's kind of hard to recommend. However, I'm curious, what do you guys think about the Walmart laptop? Let me know in the comments below. I will have a link to it if I can find it in the description, if they haven't discontinued it by the time this video goes live, which would be not good, I guess. I'd probably have to make a new video after that.